Late into the quiet night of Paris, an elderly tax collector sets down his heavy account books. Before his eyes lie no cold customs checkpoints, only the lush green foliage of boundless tropical forests. Henri Rousseau never once traveled beyond the borders of France, yet with nothing but his paintbrushes he journeyed across the whole wide world. Tonight let us follow the soft flow of his brushstrokes and step into his pure mysterious realm of dreams. The purest form of solitude in the history of art often hides quietly within the most ordinary everyday life. Henri Rousseau spent his entire life proving that if your heart holds a dense jungle, every corner of the world can become a distant faraway land. Once mocked and ridiculed as a laughingstock within the painting circle, he would in time grow into a guiding beacon for generations of artistic geniuses, accompanied by the faint warm glow of the hearth. Listen closely to this gentle nostalgic tale of the awkward and sincere self-taught genius. If you have ever felt lost and confused in the stillness of the late night, this story is meant for you. Henri Rousseau picked up the paintbrush for the very first time at the age of 49, viewing the whole world through the innocent, unspoiled eyes of a child. Along this tranquil inner journey you will come to realize that true freedom has never been far away. May the soft moonlight spilling through the jungles in Rousseau's paintings gently soothe and calm all the restlessness and anxiety hidden deep within your heart. Inside the grand art galleries of Paris, Pablo Picasso once held a playful mock banquet in honor of an impoverished, forgotten elderly painter. Around the table guests laughed openly, sneering at the humble tax collector who fancied himself a great master of art. Yet the old man only smiled shyly to himself, picking up his violin as if the sharp mocking whispers around him held no meaning in his quiet world. His name was Henri Rousseau, a weaver of ethereal dreamscapes who would only be truly understood and cherished by the world long after his passing. Tonight, accompanied by the softly flickering glow of the hearth, we walk fully into the untold life of this quiet soul. Through this tranquil tale you need not strive to memorize. He was an ordinary, humble clerk who spent most of his long life guarding the customs gates of Paris, never stepping foot outside France. How did he carve open a hidden passage leading to exotic tropical jungles amid the dull, tedious paperwork of tax collection? Close your eyes and listen to the soft, gentle solitude echoing from the outskirts of Paris, rippling through the moonlit shadows of his imaginary jungles. The customs gates of Paris were the place where Henri Rousseau lived and worked for decades. Day after day he inspected carriages entering the city, counting alcohol goods and levying taxes, his days stretching plain, dry and unremarkable like blank sheets of empty paper. His status was utterly ordinary, so plain it bordered on stifling, and everyone around him simply knew him as Rousseau, the tax collector. In that classical art era that valued refined, skilled technique and precise human anatomy, he remained a complete outsider to the elite artistic circle. At the age of 49, when most people settled into quiet retirement, enjoying the peaceful comfort of their later years, he made a decision the world deemed utterly reckless. He resigned from his stable, lifelong government post, picked up a paintbrush and retreated into a shabby, narrow studio hidden away from the bustling streets. He had no money to hire live models nor the means to enroll in formal art academies, yet he held a steady entry ticket to the Louvre, and the quiet, peaceful afternoons spent wandering the Paris Botanical Garden. He would sit alone for hours on end inside the glass greenhouses, staring endlessly at the towering broad tropical leaves, lost in the lush fantasy of exotic nature. Having never received professional artistic training, his trees lacked proper perspective, his wild animals carried strangely bewildering eyes, and even the clouds in his skies looked heavy, solid as carved stone. This childlike, clumsy, naive style became the butt of endless jokes within the exclusive elite art salons of his time. Still he paid no mind to the mockery around him, quietly laying down layer upon layer of rich emerald green paint, as if those vivid jungle hues were the only breath of fresh air sustaining his lonely soul. If you have ever gazed upon Henri Rousseau's famous painting The Dream, you will surely marvel at its surreal, timeless stillness. At the center of the canvas, a lone woman reclines gracefully upon an elegant sofa placed deep within the heart of an untamed jungle, surrounded by flocks of brightly colored birds and curious lions peering out from behind thick foliage. Others questioned the absurdity of the scene, asking how a fine sofa could ever exist deep inside a wild forest. He replied simply and softly, this takes place within a dream where nothing needs to follow the rules of the waking world. The narrative logic of Henri Rousseau's paintings was never bound to realistic logic. It belonged entirely to the quiet landscapes of the inner mind. This pure, childlike innocence created a fascinating, unique tension within the sophisticated Parisian art scene of his day. His daily life lingered in desperate poverty to make ends meet. He played music and performed on street corners, drew simple shop Signs for neighbors in exchange for humble meals. His first wife and all 5 of his children passed away one after another, swallowed by cruel fate, yet he never poured even a trace of bitterness or resentment into his art. Instead, the nights he painted always remained calm and serene, moonlight spilling gently over the slumbering gypsy. In his iconic work The Lion only sniffed curiously in quiet wonder, no bloodshed, no violence, only a miraculous harmony between human and beast. He transformed all the cold neglect, harsh criticism and bitter setbacks he endured in real life into abundant lush foliage and gentle docile wild creatures upon canvas. He never traveled to Mexico, never witnessed real lions hunting or fighting. Every distant exotic scene in his work came merely from old encyclopedias and the boundless imagination of his heart. This determined dedication to creating entire lush jungles entirely from within his own mind made him one of the true founding pioneers of surrealist art history. Yet Henri Rousseau's life was filled with the bitterness of constant misunderstanding and a heartbreaking purity of spirit. He was once arrested and imprisoned after being unwittingly entangled in a fraud case simply because his innocent, trusting nature made him far too easy to deceive. Drawn in by scammers' empty promises of easy wealth, standing before the court, his transparent childlike innocence stirred even the judge's compassion, leading to a suspended sentence he longed earnestly for recognition from the established academic art circle, faithfully submitting his paintings to the independent salon exhibitions every year. Even though his works were always tucked away in the most unnoticed corners, met with pointed laughter and ridicule from passing viewers. On one occasion, a group of young art students played a cruel prank on him, pretending to be distinguished members of the art committee, sending him a fake official award notice. Overjoyed beyond words, Henri Rousseau dressed in his finest suit, rushing eagerly to claim his prize, only to find an empty, silent hall waiting for him. Even after such cruel disappointment, he refused to harbor hatred or bitterness toward the world. He even believed the laughter and mockery stemmed simply from his art being far ahead of its time, too profound for ordinary people to understand. This almost divine inner self-protection allowed him to preserve the clear, gentle light in his eyes even amid the muddy hardships of Paris's lowest social stratum. He continued quietly copying masterpieces inside the Louvre, unfazed even when security guards chased him away as a madman, simply bending down to pick up his paintbrush, offering a polite nod before leaving. His persistence was never driven by desire for fame or fortune. It was a quiet vow to protect the eternal evergreen tropical garden that existed only within his soul. When Pablo Picasso stumbled upon a large portrait by Henri Rousseau at a flea market, purchasing the monumental work for merely 5 francs, the gears of fate finally began to turn, making up for years of delayed recognition. The young avant-garde painters who once looked down on the humble tax collector slowly began to perceive a long-forgotten raw vitality hidden within his clumsy, unrefined brushwork. It was a primal artistic impulse flowing directly from the soul, freed from the bondage of rigid technical rules. Though traces of playful mockery still lingered at the banquet Picasso held in his honor, Henri Rousseau finally felt a quiet sense of solace and belonging. It was the most glorious moment of his humble life, even as he drifted off to sleep during the feast, hot candle wax dripping down onto his only formal gown. In 1910, after completing his final masterpiece, The Dream, Henri Rousseau passed away quietly in lonely seclusion, worn down by poverty and illness. His funeral was modest and sparse, attended by only 7 mourners, including Apollinaire and Picasso, who carved the famous epitaph honoring his legacy. The ordinary man who once inspected goods at the city gates was gone forever, replaced by the timeless, dreamlike figure of Rousseau, the visionary artist. He left behind no wealth or treasure, only hundreds of tranquil paintings capable of calming the restless heart. In his dreamlike realm, lions live peacefully without malice, snakes dance softly beneath the moonlight, and ordinary souls can lie down upon a comfortable sofa, drifting away into any exotic jungle their imagination can reach. Henri Rousseau's entire life unfolds like a long, gentle preamble written in quiet patience. He spent 40 long years enduring the monotony of ordinary, mundane life, then devoted his final 20 years proving that imagination alone is humanity's truest salvation. Returning to the quiet question posed at the beginning, why do his paintings possess such power to soothe restlessness and calm sleepless nights in the world he created? Cold rational logic steps aside, allowing color, light and profound tranquility to reign supreme. With his clumsy, untutored brush he painted the lightest, most ethereal dreams, teaching us a simple, timeless truth: dare to believe deeply enough and a vast, lush jungle can grow right beneath your bed. The tale has reached its gentle close on this quiet, cool night. Do you not feel a soft breeze brushing against the imaginary palm leaves of his painted world? Let go of weariness and drift down into the calm stillness alongside the moonlight in his art, in that dreamlike jungle, free from tax collectors, free from cruel mockery, filled only with serene peace and quiet miracles. May you rest deep in tranquil slumber. Good night.